And just to start,
I hate popular shit. That's a remake. It's not a prequel.
how is it not a prequel? You're in the airplane. That's an action movie.
There gotta be some hand-to-hand combat at some point.
That's what love and romantic movies are about. It would be probably in my top 5. Maybe. It's a pretty good list. If anyone's confused, shit out of luck.
Sorry, my Pradas and the cleaners, along with my hoodie and my you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebag.
Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls. Wearing this. Wearing only this.
All right, with Furiosa coming out this weekend, decided to do my top 5 prequels of all time. And just to start, it was tough coming up with prequels because there's two movies that initially came to my mind, but I can't count them because it was Rob Zombie's Halloween and Godfather Part 2, because only half of the movie is a prequel. So Halloween, the second half, is a remake, and Godfather, there's only the other one's present time in there. So don't count those. Godfather 2 fans, stay away. Can't count it. Also, my list only consists of initial prequels, not movies that have sequels that are part of a prequel trilogy. Now, that sounds confusing. So basically, I couldn't do Star Wars Episode 3 because that's a sequel to a prequel. I don't count it. It's got to be initial prequel.
What? Say that again.
You know what I'm saying? So initial prequels, like the first prequel. But if there's sequels to that prequel, I don't count that.
So Phantom Menace, the only one you counting?
That would be the only one that could count. Right. And there's a couple others I could give you examples of, but it would ruin what's going to be on my list. But that's right. So I couldn't do Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Not that anyone would. That movie is terrible. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. It would be probably in my top 5. Maybe. It's a pretty good list. But I don't count it because it's a sequel to a prequel. If anyone's confused, shit out of luck.
I get it.
Number 5. Oh, no, we got 2 OLIs. Prometheus and Wonka. Wonka's brand new. I really enjoyed it. I actually was excited for the idea of going before Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Well, I'm not a big fan of anyways, but I love Timothée Chalamet. Want to see what he could do, and he knocked it out of the park. You said you would watch it. Of course you didn't. So
Showing up wouldn't. I mean, showing up didn't.
It was really good. Prometheus was a movie I loved. It's the Alien prequel, even though they try to shy away from the Alien stuff for a while. They didn't. He just wanted to be its own movie. I loved it when it came out. Hasn't really held up enough. So outside looking in. Number 5, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This one came out of freaking nowhere because
that's not a prequel, bro.
Don't start. It's my list.
I'm just
It
saying.
is a prequel.
No,
It's a prequel. It's a prequel.
It's really
to
a remake. It's a remake. It's not a prequel. It's a remake. It's a remake. It's a remake. That's a remake. It's not a prequel. It's a remake. I promise you. Like Caesar is Cornelius is the father in the earlier ones, and Caesar is the son.
Mm-hmm.
Cornelius was the son in this one in this new trilogy, and Caesar is the father. It's a remake.
It doesn't sound like a remake to me.
It's a remake, my G.
First trailer was terrible. I'm like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? James Franco was the lead star. That seemed like a reach. He hadn't really done anything like that before. But then surprisingly good reviews came in, and they're mostly talking about the motion capture and how that CGI was like a huge step up from what they had normally done with like Gollum and Lord of the Rings. Like it just looked way better. And in the story, it's really not about James Franco. It's not about his girl. It's not about the dad. It's about Caesar. You quickly realize, oh, this is Caesar's story. And you kind of fall in love with him immediately as a little chimp. And you kind of grow attached to him. And he's learning all this human stuff. And then it just breaks your heart when he's got to go away from them. That stupid window. If I ever see that window, I immediately start like internally crying. Like that is because he's drawing that window in the prison. Like, ugh. And you know how me with animals. You can kill all the humans in a movie. Don't mess with a nice ape. But it all comes down to one of the greatest movie moments, probably the last 30 years, when Caesar finally speaks. And they didn't spoil it in the trailers, which they would nowadays. But that theater, you could hear a pin drop when he said no for the first time. And that's when you realize, okay, this movie is on another level. It ended up being an all-time great trilogy. It had a really good last 30 minutes of them breaking out on the Golden
Yeah,
Gate, getting to
fire.
the Redwoods. I don't want to hear your critique.
Oh
Prequel.
yeah, I'm sorry, it's not a prequel, but you put it, you threw it in there, but it's not a prequel. But shout out, you got top four list, but shout out for you talking about Rise.
I'm gonna check that out. Number 4. Curious if you even know what this one is. Red Dragon.
Oh yeah, Hannibal Lecter.
My dude. Prequel to The Silence of the Lambs,
Mhm.
which is whenever I do a list of my all-time greatest movies, I won't spoil it, but it's up there. So it's basically the follow-up to, I don't know if you, did you ever watch the Hannibal movie? The sequel?
No,
Yeah, that one was kind of a whiff. I mean, it was really hyped because we're talking like 10 years after Silence of the Lambs, and you're bringing a new Clarice Starling. I think it was Julianne Moore, but he was reprising his role, and the movie kind of everyone knows it for the head taking off the brain, the head and eating the brain. That's kind of what everyone's, and that's all that really is memorable about it. But then Red Dragon comes out, and everyone's like, a prequel, like Anthony Hopkins. That is the only bad part. He still looks 80 when he's supposed to be like right before Silence of the Lambs. We ignore that. They little makeup, little lighting. It's all good because the story's, even though it's kind of a retread of Silence of the Lambs, it's what makes it work. They show the scene where this FBI agent captures him, which is cool. So you learn how he gets captured. And then basically he needs his help again to find a new serial killer. And it's the serial killer is played by Ralph Fiennes. Does a great job, very creepy. Edward Norton, your original Hulk. No, not original Hulk, second Hulk. Sorry. Original Hulk, Eric Bana there. Just a really good movie, really kind of forgotten about when it comes to that whole series. Maybe because no one liked any of the other stuff, but that show got big.
but you
Oh,
said Red Dragon ain't talked about enough. You said
it's not. It was amazing how many, when I was doing my research, just looking up prequels, making sure I didn't find anything. I kept finding like top 15, top 20 lists. Nobody had it on there. I just knew it in my head because I remember watching a whole bunch as a kid. Probably
I
why I
think
messed it
because
up.
like the Hannibal thing isn't popular. Hannibal, like he's popular, but the movie shit. Because remember, you the one made got me to watch
Hmm.
the original one.
Yep.
I seen Red Dragon early. I seen Red Dragon and I
You
liked
saw
it.
that, you saw that before Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was connected until you told me, and like I didn't know,
Yeah.
and then when I see it, it makes sense. Silence of the Lambs is overrated to me, but
Um, we don't got enough time for that. But do you remember the last scene in Red Dragon? Like every prequel's got to have that one scene that kind of connects it to the original. It's got to be that perfect scene, and it's literally the last minute where the owner of the asylum walks up and starts talking to him in his jail cell, and he's like, There's this young FBI agent that's come here to talk to her, and I'll just tell her she's not interested." And he kind of thinks about it, looks up, and goes, "What's her name?" And then it cuts it right there. I remember everyone going, "Oh, if they just had a shot of Jodie Foster, just one shot,
it don't hit the
that
same
would
to
have
me.
been cool.
But
That would have been cool." But cool
I seen
ending.
it too late. I seen it too
Very
late.
good movie.
Like that ain't hit the same to me. I didn't know what that meant. Thought it
Of
was
course,
part two
you
coming.
must have been like, "What the hell is that?"
I think it's a part two coming.
Mm, I guess in a way, yeah, it does transition right to it.
I gotta hear the rest of this list because I guess the
You're not gonna.
qualifications of a great prequel isn't a great.
There's not a lot of great prequels. Sorry, there just ain't. I said I only had two old lies. There's a lot of crap out there. You won't disagree with the top three. maybe in the order, but these will be your top 3. Number 3, prequels of all time. Batman Begins. I'm just waiting to see if I get yelled at.
That's not a prequel.
Oh my, how is it not a prequel? Out of here. Now you're just effing with me. It's an absolute prequel.
Batman
There-
Begins. Yo, that's not a prequel. That's a new movie. It's just it's a new take. It's not a prequel.
You are bugging. Anything is a prequel to the first story that was told.
No,
like, on a movie.
I thought a
It
prequel
shows the
means
origins.
I thought a prequel. Wait, I thought a prequel is the movie, something that comes out before, like it's like you seen the movie, and then a prequel and stuff that happens before that movie comes out.
Yeah, that's what Batman Begins is.
But
Nothing.
it's not.
Every other Batman movie, do they show the origins of Batman?
But listen,
No.
our is Christian Bale Batman the same Batman as all them other all them other Batmans are the same universe. Christian Bale Batman is in his own universe. The Dark Knight universe is different than that all those other ones that you don't like, except for the OG one. But all those are in the same universe. Those are literally the same Bruce Wayne.
Stop making good points. All hail the GOAT, Christopher Nolan. People forget how wild of a concept it was to take a superhero movie and make it a gritty, grounded in reality movie concept.
That's a fact.
Because the last one in a different universe, like you were saying, was Batman and Robin. And that thing was so goddamn awful in the cheesiest way. It's so bad. You can have no, you can love it as a kid. No, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's still fire.
Do you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
Oh, it's Sylvester Stallone perfect for Mr. Freeze.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. See? Yeah. My turn. My turn to critique.
What I say? I don't even know what I said.
It's Sylvester Stallone. His literal rival. So Christopher Bale is a great choice. Even though, I mean, I was young. You were a little older than me. Did you know Christian Bale before he played Batman?
No. I had to go back and watch his movies like American Psycho. I seen that after.
Same.
After
So
Dark Knight.
I think the only one that I saw was that Dragon movie that took place in London with Matthew McConaughey. I didn't even know, like, Bale is the second lead on the poster. I still had no idea who he was. So technically that was the first movie I saw him, but I didn't associate with him when Batman came. I'm like, who's this random dude playing Bruce Wayne? Obviously knocked it out of the park, but it wasn't just him. They had the perfect surrounding characters. Got Gary Oldman, Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine. Katie Holmes, not so much.
Yeah, she could
Kind
have
of-
didn't make it to number 2.
kind of moved on from her quickly. And again, we talk about scenes that lead up to. I'll admit that makes it not a prequel, I guess, in some sense. But the Joker scene at the end with him flipping the card over, just a perfect ending. You got that one.
And I just watched that movie this weekend, and that way inspired my list that I want to make, because I was like, that's one of my bottom under. I said that was under Batman and Robin. I watched that again. I was like, like you probably don't do this. I smack myself for real sometimes. Like, what the fuck was you thinking?
Wow.
That shit is like, it's literally ain't nobody fucking with that trilogy. Period. Like nothing. I don't care what no one says. No one fucking with that trilogy.
It doesn't it feel like, though, it just feels like a different movie from the next two? Just, I know he had a bigger budget with Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, and he was a bigger name by then. But it does feel like it feels like a different. It feels like Gotham's a little different. I know it's way grittier in this one.
Because the first one he's dealing with the slums. The second one's he's not.
Yeah.
If you really the other one, he's attacking the rich. Joker. He's not attacking the bums. He's attacking the mob, and it's like all the rich shit. So you see that part of Gotham. You see in the bottom part of Gotham in that part, because that's year one Batman type shit. Like, so it's like, he's not going. He don't. The villains he had, like he got Scarecrow making people going crazy and see ghosts and all that. I think it was on the same like level, but it was different levels of Batman in different areas of Gotham. If
It
you
just
understand that.
it just seemed a little more grittier the first one with the slums part because they don't even show the slums in Dark Knight.
Because
They,
because it's like attacking the
yeah.
rich.
Yep.
It's a difference. And I like that. I like that one was like the first one's all about the slums. They didn't talk about the rich at all, basically. But
Yeah, because I mean, that's how he learned to become not afraid of bats and not afraid of the dark. Like he had to accept it all. It's funny when I first saw Batman Begins, I saw it with two other people, and I'm like, "That's the best Batman movie I've ever seen." And they were like, "No, it's still not as good as the original." I'm like, "I didn't grow up with the original. I didn't. I kind of watched.
it's not
Uh,
it's not
I,
all that.
I kind of watched Forever with the
Return
Penguin
good.
and Catwoman,
I thought
and
that's
or no, yeah,
that's not
those
bad.
returns. Yep,
That's Return.
those returns. Yeah, Forever. I didn't really watch that one. It was
Right.
really Batman and Robin that I watched over and over again. But by
Right.
then, but by Batman Begins, I was 14, realizing no, that was a terrible movie. It was made for kids. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about.
I told you I was so out of the I love comics. I was so out of it at that point. I didn't know Batman Begins came out, so I went and seen Dark Knight before that because a girl asked me to take me to movies to go, and I went and seen that shit, and then I'm stuck to the screen, and I was like, "This is part two? Like what? What is part one? I thought
That's
that was part one, and then
okay.
it's like, nah, that's part two.
I know you said you have a list in mind. You need to come up with another list of movies you've seen where you thought that was the first one because I already know. I, I already know a few. I know Die Hard. I know Terminator. Now I know this. There's you might have a top 10.
Thunderdome.
All right, number 2. I'm leaking confidence. I'm pretty sure this is a true sequel. If I'm going by your
Prequel, not
take,
sequels. Prequel.
prequel. If I'm going by your takes, okay, this is in the same universe, different actors. I think I'm good here. Number 2, X-Men First Class. That's a
You got
prequel.
that one. You
Yeah,
got
I
that
got.
one. You got that one. You know the only reason why that made a prequel is because and the second one when they went back in time and they had the
Well, that
OG X-Men.
yeah, that
That's what
changed.
made it.
That was a game changer. But again, and I think Days of Future Past is better, but because of my criteria, I couldn't put
Oh
that
yeah,
on the
yeah.
list because it's a sequel. But X-Men First Class, same with kind of Rise of the Planet of the Apes in the sense that it's it just felt weird rebooting X-Men. I know The Last Stand was no good. I actually think it's not as bad as people remember.
It's not as bad as people say. Last Stand was
Yeah,
not that bad, bro.
but it was bad enough for them to stop those, which was crazy.
Cause Gene,
And then they started doing Wolverine movies only.
no, that's why they stopped because the Wolverine movie wasn't doing good. And no,
Mm-hmm.
not Wolverine. They came out with that Dark Phoenix shit with about no, didn't they drop a solo one besides
Bro,
Wolverine?
that's they did they did Wolverine Origins and then they did the Japanese Wolverine, and that one did not well.
Then they did
So
Logan.
Logan didn't come out till after they started doing the other trilogies.
Mm,
Logan was I think Logan was after Days of Future Past.
I thought the first Wolverine movie didn't do good. The one
It
with Deadpool. That's one didn't do good. That's the first one.
I think
It
it
didn't
no,
do
I think it made a decent enough money to end up doing the sequel, and the sequel made no money because they had no other co-stars.
No, the
And
sequel is a whole different. It's a whole different Wolverine.
oh, I know, but it didn't do well. I'm saying, and that's what I feel like. All right, then we need to reboot this.
Because this is how it's supposed to go. They're supposed to do after Last Stand. They're supposed to do Wolverine, and then they're supposed to go on to like Cyclops or Jean Grey.
Mhm.
I don't think that first Wolverine movie did enough for them to go on to their keep their plan up.
Right. So First Class, man, they come out right out the gate with like, oh, this is going to be really good with the whole remake of the opening shot from the original X-Men at the concentration camp. And I'm watching with a buddy who hadn't seen the original X-Men, but he's like, this movie looks cool. I want to watch it. I'm trying to explain to him, yo, this is incredible. They remade it, but it's the exact same thing. You could just see little tweaks where it's like, it's obviously 10 years or 15 years fresher and newer. But that was such a cool take to show what happened after Eric bent the gate like that. And then they take him to, the leader of that camp. And it's like, all right, this is really, really interesting. An adult Magneto going around killing Nazis, former Nazis. I don't know if they technically are still Nazis. They were hidden. Just, having a beer at the beer garden. And all of a sudden he's getting a quarter through the head. Pro killing Nazis.
You got issues.
We got young Charles Xavier developing his first team. I think the backdrop of the Cuban Missile Crisis was a really good idea. I don't know. That's just an interesting period of time with JFK and everything that everyone can kind of relate to.
Mm-hmm. They did the thing with that.
James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence. Them getting Jennifer Lawrence like right as she's getting big. Like this was
Growing
a year.
up.
This is a year after Hunger Games, but she'd already filmed all that. So they got her on the cheap because if you tell her, she doesn't have that many scenes, but she is playing Mystique. So, I mean, she's obviously very close, the relationship with Xavier. And you got Magneto kind of trying to pull her in like, come with me. You're beautiful the way you are. It's really good dynamic. Extreme rewatchability. Like I say Days of Future Past is a better movie, but I've only watched that maybe 3 or 4 times. I watch X-Men First Class at least 15 times. Every time
it's
it's
not
on.
a better movie though. You said it, but I don't believe that.
What do you
I'm
mean?
taking the first one. I don't think Days of Future Past is better than
I think it is. I think it's just it goes a little more deeper with the going in the past, and you bring on the old heads, and you get Wolverine. I'm sorry, he still is a game changer.
They wore him out, but
Not by that point, not yet.
that was at that point, and then that was that point.
And again, you have to have the cool scene that everyone kind of is waiting on at the end with Xavier and Magneto, and how Charles ends up in the wheelchair where he gets the bullet in the back. Like, oh shit, that's how it happens. And I didn't know. I didn't watch the show very deeply as a kid, and I didn't read any of the comics, so I didn't know. Is that how it happens in the comics?
No.
Okay. Still a cool way they did it.
Cool how they did it. That's fire.
Yeah, because it's like they're friends, but they're enemies at the same time, and he's responsible for him ending up in the wheelchair. That's pretty cool. Number 1, top 5 prequels of all time. 2009's Star Trek. Spock once said, "The needs of the many."
That's a prequel. That's a prequel or a remake.
This one I didn't even ask you because I know it's a prequel. Obviously, it's a prequel.
Is it a
They're
remake?
they're literally going into their beginnings of as children and going into Starfleet Academy. Yeah, that's a prequel. It's a prequel to the show, much less movies.
Huh. Because I could have sworn them same characters. I don't know what's going on. So I'll let you get this. Because I love that movie.
Spock once said, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one." In this case, what he said was illogical because this was the one. Live long and prosper.
Shout out to Star Trek. That movie is fire.
Again, you want to talk about risk of upsetting the nerds across the world, the Trekkies and the Trekkers, recasting all-time great famous sci-fi characters like Kirk and Spock. Man, it was risky. But they nailed it. I mean, I didn't know who Chris Pine was at the time.
Who's
And
Chris Pine?
he played Kirk.
Oh, that's
And
my
he-
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And
they
then-
picked the blind, pretty-eyed nigga. Like
But you believed it when he could fight. You know what I mean? I feel like he was a really good.
He had that rough edge on him.
Yeah.
You're like dirty whitish. Yeah.
And that's exactly what Kirk was in the show. Like he got all the girls, but In the show, he was fighting almost every other episode, and you had to believe that he could win in a fight.
Yeah.
So that was a good casting role. Zachary Quinto, he didn't really go on to do much, but tell me he didn't nail Spock. Pause.
Oh, that's a fact.
I mean, it was almost creepy how good he was.
That's a
And
fact.
again, you talk about Spock. I mean, Kirk is Kirk, but getting Spock right, if you got that wrong, the movie doesn't work.
Movie don't work. And my girl in there.
That was next. Zoe Saldana continuing the hot streak.
Ain't no woman, greatest woman action star ever. I don't care. No one says.
She's
Probably got
so
the
good.
Leslie Rose, but she's fire.
She is so good as Uhura. You got Simon Pegg in there as Scotty, Carl Urban as Bones, and everyone forgets for 5 minutes Chris Hemsworth was in this movie at the very beginning. You forget every time I tell you because you always give me that face. He was Kirk's dad at the very beginning of the movie.
Word?
Chris Hemsworth, yeah, man. When you watch it, you're like, holy shit, he looks so young.
I gotta watch that shit again.
Because that's even, I think that's pre-Thor.
You
So
know,
he's really young.
my favorite part is when like when my boy he had the green alien. It's like dreams come true. Like that's a dream. Oh no, okay, this movie lit. Let's keep it going.
If you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, one of the greatest teaser trailers of all time.
30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
The eyes of the world now look into space.
Godspeed, John Glenn. The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Space. The final frontier.
Incredible.
That's like fire. I ain't gonna lie.
Quickly, I just want to talk about J.J. Abrams' choice to make it an alternate timeline instead of just a prequel. I don't know if you remember that. Like the alternate timeline, it allowed him the freedom to do characters and choices a little differently. You know what I mean?
You see what I'm talking about? It's not a prequel if it's an alternate timeline. Yo, see, everyone just know I was right on this JP's list. No, this is
It's my list.